minimize my view, and I'm gonna pick procedural terrain, and we're gonna check one of the filters in the function editor, which is the strata. I'm gonna explain what's a strata. A strata is a superposition of multiple layers of rock, of different rock types, sedimentary or soil in general ways, and you can distinguish each layer from the other. This is as simple as this. Okay, so I'm gonna just check zero edges and go back to editing functions, and if you forget or forgot to delete this or reset the function, you have just to select all these nodes here and just delete. Okay, so I'm gonna add a fractal node like this. Okay, and I'm gonna choose terrain fractal and get the same values that we've used later on. Okay, so I'm just copy them. So 0.53, and finally 342. Okay, and let's connect the altitude with this one, and we're gonna just move our panel over there, and okay, we've got something like this, pretty simple and easy. And so what I'm gonna do is go click here, for example, and add, or maybe just right here, and add the filter node, and automatically Vue will generate this filter node here. You can check this button here to show it in graph, but I think it doesn't really matter to show it or not. And we have this filter here, and from this area here, or this drop down menu, you can choose any one of these filters here. You can choose Gaussian power gain, bias, gamma. Choose any one of these parabolic some functions here if you want to. And what we're gonna do is go to recursive and choose strata. Okay, so I'm gonna just refresh my view, and you already see the strata effect. This is the strata effect. As you can see, I'm just change the size of my brush. Okay, just you can see the strata effect. Okay, really powerful, really nice, as you can see here. Pretty cool. Now I'm gonna explain a little bit this settings here. For the title and description, it's self-explained. The processing strength. This is controls how much strata the filter will affect your terrain. For 1, it will completely affect your terrain, and for a 0 value there will be no strata. Okay, as you can see, and at 0.5 you just have a little bit. Some of the 50% of the terrain will have strata and 50% not. Okay, so back to 1, I want the strata effect to be on all my terrain, as you can see here, anywhere, and it's pretty much visible here. So I'm gonna focus here. The rock layer hardness controls, especially for example, for high values you'll get something very flat, as you can see, and harsh, and this is the hardness of the layers. In some way it controls how much hardness will be on the rock, if I could say. For higher values, the rock will be really hard and harsh at the edges and very flat surfaces, so it's something you just will see. Even the strata effect, we lose the strata effect. Okay, so, and for lower values we'll lose the strata effect also. Okay, so this is a setting that you just have to play with. Okay, so to get the maximum, you can, if you want to, I'm gonna explain a little bit more. This is the rock layer hardness. If I get to bigger values, you'll see that it's more important, as you can see here, and this is the effect of the rock layer hardness on the terrain. So I'm just get it to lower value. Okay, so we continue to see the strata effect and have some nice details upwards. Okay, pretty cool. Now the rock layer thickness is parameter that is pretty much the same as rock layer hardness, but it will work according to the layer spacing. Let me explain. For the rock layer thickness, the thickness of it controls especially the thickness of this strata effect. For example, for higher values we got also flat surfaces. It works pretty much the same as rock layer hardness, but it gives you the ability to, for example, as you can see, we just here get higher than the layer spacing. Okay, so for example, all the values or what's higher than the layer spacing will be clipped. For example, we can't see the layer thickness until we're at a value lower than the layer spacing. And as you can see, this is the layer, the rock layer thickness. Okay, so this is pretty easy to understand. I think we don't gonna lose time here. Okay, so as you can see, it will control the thickness of the rock layer, and I'm just drop it down, and the spacing really is easy to understand and self-explained. Okay, so this is the spacing between layers of strata. Here we don't have, or it's very soft, as you can see, so we don't really see it. And for higher values we're gonna have some, the strata will affect all the height of our terrain. For example, I'm just get it to lower values, as you can see, to some way it's the distance between of two filtering patterns. Okay, so this is layer spacing. Okay, the plateau filling, which will control the slope of our terrain. Okay, value, you can just control the slope of our terrain with the plateau filling. Very subtle here. Okay, so the smooth edges setting will give you the ability to smooth the edges. I think it's pretty easy to understand. Small sphere, as we've seen before, will give you the ability to fine-tune details, if I could say, or have some little details here. Okay, pretty cool, pretty nice. Now the tilt heading will give you the ability to, how could we say, it's pretty technical. It will control the axis on which the plane or the strata will be oriented or rotated. In other terms, around which it will control the axis around which the plane and the strata will be tiled. Okay, So this is pretty technical. As I said, you have really to try these values to see really how it works, because as I'm explaining, you maybe get the definition how it works, and maybe you get an idea of this setting, but you will only know how it really works by practicing. Okay, so just try some T-ranges, post your results on the comment section below. So okay, so here the tilt heading angle will define the angle of your strata effect. For example, if I put it to like minus 55, you'll have something like this. Okay, as you can see, pretty interesting and pretty bizarre, if you could say, but it's not rare that we see trend like this, and you can play with the settings. Okay, so just to get the type of terrain you want, I think I'm gonna stay on this one. Okay, sorry. And for the offset, it controls, as I said, the offset between the first rock layer and the origin, in some way to simulate deformation on strata. Okay, I don't know if it will be very visible here, but because we have zero origin, I don't know, but I think yeah, you can see it maybe over here, but I don't know. Just put it like 0, and yeah, as you can see here, and as you can see here, we have some strata deformation. Pretty simple to understand and easy to use, I think. So right, I think we've covered all the filters, all of the strata filter here. So I'm gonna click OK and OK, just to have my terrain. Always rotate there, move our camera up. Okay, I'm gonna just go over, turn it like this. Okay, now center it. Okay, nice. And now I'm gonna apply the material. So let's search for strata materials. As you can see here, strange layers, maybe grass and layers. I have some red desert, dizzy layers. Choose one of these one, and I think I'm gonna choose this one here, and choose OK. And let's do a render. Very cool. Now you can see that the strata effect is pretty present when applying a material. So I'm gonna do a final render here, and just, sorry, I missed. Sorry, final and click. Okay, so it will take more time to generate. Okay, here it is. So pretty nice result. And I think we also on procedural terrains, I think the most important things has been covered. So I think we can move to the next level, or the next step, which is atmospheres. Okay, I tried to follow a certain logic in doing this series of tutorial, starting from the very basic tools of Vue 9, going to the very complicated ones. For example, we start with the creating a water surface and simple geometries, going to text and simple terrain, importing objects and planting some plants. And we've slowly get into functions and procedural terrains. Okay, so my opinion in doing this tutorial is I tried to cover all what I wanted to see or I wanted to learn while getting familiar with Vue. I'll explain. For example, the first thing I wanted when I was learning Vue is I wanted to create a sci-fi scene with a very specific lunar terrain. I started with Vue 6, if I remember. Yeah, Vue 6 or 6, Vue 6, and I wanted to create a certain lunar surface with the crater on it. And the first thing I deduced is I really can't do it with simple terrain. So I was searching around the web where to find someone who can give me a solution to create this particular scene, and I found it with procedural terrains. So I always work with procedural terrains, so rarely with simple terrains or just to fill the blanks or the background. But what I want to say is, when doing my tutorials, I always try to explain or to go through the steps I passed through to learn Vue. Okay, for example, just speaking about Vue, but if I have done a kind of a tutorial like this for 3ds Max, I would do the same steps. And when using Vue, I think I have certain logic when working with Vue. Is that the first thing is I imagine the scene, I create the terrain, add an atmosphere, then I probably add work the material and then add some ecosystem. Okay, so because and the logic is we have the first thing is the terrain. This is where all the magic, if I could say, will work. And we have the atmosphere, the lightning, the clouds, etc., because materials are dependent to this, and we'll create materials or get the result of material I want depending on the atmosphere. For example, I'm just rapidly explain, if you do architectural visualization, you know, when creating some tutorial some materials and rendering, for example with V-Ray, you have at every time, maybe not every time, but in sometimes, most of the time, if I could say, a color degradation, or if you see what I'm talking about, you know, for maybe the brown will get a bit yellow or something like this, and this depends on the lighting. So I always work my lighting and then my materials. So this is why I wanted to make atmospheres after terrains, because when you know how your lighting will be, etc., you can work with this. You can work your materials so they will fit exactly your needs and your atmosphere, and you get a nice result. In my opinion, I work always like this, and it do the trick. I don't know for others or someone that may think in other ways, but I don't know. So I just hope you learned something today with this tutorial, and you know, you just have to practice a bit, do some terrains, trying to manipulate the fractals, do your trick, if I could say, create your own maps to create customized terrains if you want to, as we've seen with the previous day, sorry. So just trick the settings, etc., so you get familiar with this, and I'll see you the next day for getting a step into atmospheres.